Casual here. Are you struggling to level your Pyromancer through challenge tiers? Finding the healing mechanic makes you too squishy to solo the content? That is what I hear all the time. As my subscribers know, I am always up for a challenge, so I've come up with a build that is tanky enough to survive and which got me to CC 15. As well as the leveling build that I used, I will also run through a second build using the Reforged Gear Set. Let's get into it, but first a word from my sponsor. Oh yeah, I don't have one. So in the time we are saving, hit the subscribe and like button. Most of the Pyromancer builds out there use the Outriders Gear Set with Heatwave, Phaser Beam or the Ash Grip Overheat combo. But of course these are therefore suboptimal while you are leveling in epic gear. On top of that, if like me you have a pudding aim on a console, Phaser Beam and to a lesser extent Heatwave can be incredibly frustrating when you miss your shot. My build is built around explosive skills that are easier to use and just as effective. Point, click, boom and repeat. To give my explosions the oomph that I am looking for, I have focused on buffs to anomaly power, including with fire and anomaly. 2 World Ablaze coupled with wildfire make sure that I can keep the 12% AP buff from this up all of the time. The ultimate Tempest ability Grave Ablaze buffs the base damage of all explosive skills by 30%, which is a must have. And finally, for damage output, Extinction is a great execution skill, similar to the Technomancer wipeout skill that I love. For survivability, I've picked up additional max health, armor and resistance. When combined with health on armor and the mod damage absorber, I'm running 32,300 health, 70.7 physical damage reduction and 50% resistance. With this I am able to take a lot of hits before going down. I haven't picked up any buffs to burn damage as this build is more about explosions and setting things on fire. For my skills I'm using 2 explosive skills, Eruption and Thermal Bomb. As you can see from their tooltips, they do a huge amount of damage which I am buffing even more through my mods. Thermal Bomb and Feed the Flames also interrupt, which is great against elite enemies. And finally, Feed the Flames heals me for almost my entire health pool every 10 seconds, which eliminates the problematic healing mechanism that Pyromancers have. Let's start with the leveling build. In terms of stats, the key ones that I'm looking for are anomaly power or max health, cooldown reduction, and to a lesser extent status power or skill life leech. I'm using 2 max health in the build for solo play survivability. If you typically run in a group though, you could certainly run more or even all anomaly power to up your damage output. Status power does buff your burn damage and skill life leech improves your survivability, but neither are particularly important for the build, so play around with what works for you. The mods are pretty simple. Firstly, buff the damage of Eruption and Thermal Bomb through 2 blasts and improve damage. Then add an additional activation each cooldown through Fire Frenzy and Pompeii. Finally, inflict Ash so that enemies can't escape the skill's radius, which for Eruption is increased through Giga Blast, and also buff the damage they do more through Ashen Boost. Now, full disclosure. Improved damage does come from the lower robe of the Lava Leech, which happened to drop at an early stage for me. If you don't have this, then you can also use Debris, Magma Coats or even increased duration. I'm running out the build with Damage Absorber for survivability and Captain Hunter. If you don't have the latter, then you could add Bullet Kindling, Untamed Power, Seismic Impulse, maybe even Twice as Hot, or any of the aforementioned class mods. For my weapons I alternate between a tactical assault rifle modded with Shadow Comet and Death Chains when my skills are on cooldown, and Death Shield modded with Fortress and Shadow Comet when I'm using my skills. If you don't have Death Shield yet, stick with the tactical assault rifle. Shadow Comet is a great way to detonate Thermal Bomb on a pack of enemies, but if you don't have it then I would mod Claymore, Storm Whip, Damage Link, Bone Shrapnel, Improved Burning Bullets or even Crematorium. On my sidearm I have combined Moaning Winds with Clip Combustion so that every 8 seconds I can trigger its AoE bomb. Just empty the clip and swap to your main before it can reload and you are primed and ready to go. So what does the build look like using the Reforged Gear Set? Pretty damn awesome, I would say. The set bonus of this gear set buffs the damage of Feed the Flames and Thermal Bomb by 50%, turning Thermal Bomb into a mini nuke, giving its raised short cooldown of 6.3 seconds, and then I can activate it twice each cooldown, and you can quickly grasp how effective this really is. Train large packs of enemies together and boom, they're gone. To leverage this I have dropped Volcanic Dust, Giga Blast and improved damage. and have picked up Branded, Flame Grasper and Power Assimilation. The rest of the build is identical to the leveling build. There is another gear set option that you could use with this build out, the Reforged Gear Set, most of which dropped for me on one run. I will be playtesting a build around this gear set next, so look out for it soon. The key to playing this build is to train enemies into groups, supply thermal bomb and then activate the explosion with your weapon to wipe out entire packs or to damage elite enemies. Use Feed the Flames tactically to either apply damage, interrupt or heal as needed. Finally chain thermal bomb with eruption to deal big damage to elite enemies. I wouldn't call this a top tier build as its damage output is just a little low compared to some, but it does pack a nice punch and great survivability if you're running solo. This was the build I used to level through all the expeditions and it got me to CT15 in just a couple of days. Until next time, casual out.